Hi Herman.
Hi Gerrit.
Systems integration. That is what I would like to talk about today.
Right. And what is it about?
Yeah, systems integration is perceived as something that you do at the end of the project. However, all people in the project are working together from the early beginnings of the project, working concurrently on many components. And typically early in the project, everybody has the feeling that there's a lot of progress and that we will get a successful outcome. And then as soon as we start to build things together, we typically discover problems, and these problems result in delays, and the delays mean that we are late in the market and that we disappoint customers.
Okay.
So that's something we like to avoid. And the root cause of the problem is that we start too late with systems integration.
I recognize that from my experience that when we did integration of prototypes, a lot of things went wrong, and I always thought that people never really thought about it thoroughly at the beginning. That was my idea about it.
Yeah, so once you hit the problem, people start to think about it. Yeah? And one of the challenges, you cannot foresee everything, so you have to do things in order to learn, and doing means running them, testing them, and then you see the problems.
Yeah. So what I try to do with my team is that I always ask them to think about what would happen if you were at the end. So that
force
them a bit in that.
Exactly. So opening their mind to what needs to be done or what may happen at the end. Let me try to explain my way of looking and why this is happening.
All right.
And the first thing to realize is that you often see that projects have a strong product management, operationally focused on time, cost and resources.
Yeah.
That translates itself in a planning with a lot of concurrency. You try to have as many as possible people working concurrently. So you decompose system, you decompose it further, you have many engineers working concurrently, and then you start to aggregate, and that is where the pain starts to show, because as soon as you build things together, you discover that things don't work together, and then you have to go back and repair, and you have to delay.
Yeah.
Now, if you follow this time path, and we take the diagram that Blanchard and Fabrici made, in this diagram you see a horizontal axis, that's the time axis, a vertical axis that indicates how much we know or how much we have committed ourselves. Then they show that we commit ourselves over time, and that early on we make a lot of commitments by our decisions, and gradually we saturate the amount of commitments and decisions, and the more we are committed, less we can change, the more we are locked into a certain direction. At the same time you see the system-specific knowledge, and that grows slowly, gradually. So at the moment that we start to decompose the system into components and send all engineers to work, we have locked ourselves tremendously, we've committed ourselves to many things, while we still have a little bit of system-specific knowledge. So later, when we start to build things together, we are hit by the things that we don't know, that we didn't know at the moment that we made all those decisions. And that's the pain that we have from systems integration.
The idea behind this course is that what you can see as knowledge gap is that you try to bring that forward in the process.
Yeah, so you try to find approaches, ways to cope with the knowledge gap, to cope with the knowledge gap, and maybe hopefully learn faster, so increase your system-specific knowledge faster. Those are the two things that you want to achieve.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this course we have a set of messages. One of them is systems integration starts at the beginning of the project. You need to start thinking about it at day one.
I think that's really important indeed. I recognize that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that systems integration therefore should drive the project schedule. So you take the risks that you perceive and you build a plan that eliminates risk as early as possible. And most major risks are related to what we call VUCA, and VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity.
And is it so that these uncertainties are also driven by the context and the outside environment?
Yes, the context, the way the system will be used plays a significant role, because typically we don't know at the beginning what customers will do with our system, in what circumstances, in what conditions. So all of that is part of the volatility and the uncertainty and the complexity. All of these aspects also apply, and maybe even specifically apply to the context.
Okay.
And so the mindset is that you want to fail early. So then you don't want to show as many components as early as possible, no, you want to fail as early as possible. And in that way you get an early verification and validation.
Because failing is learning.
And failing is related to learning. If you fail and you think about it, then you learn and you have more system-specific knowledge. Now, this systems integration is typically a very multidisciplinary teamwork. So you need integrators and testers, you need architects, designers and engineers, product leaders, product managers, and others. And especially designers and engineers, they have multiple disciplines in the technology as well. And you can see systems integration as a complement to systems architecting. Systems architecting is forward-oriented, where systems integration is anticipating on what may be happening and trying to make that happen as early as possible.
I think I saw that working in my project when integrators were really already tight in the beginning of a project, things went more smooth. That's what I recognize what you say now.
Yes. So system integrators have a little bit more mindset of what may go wrong. That can be perceived as meddling or as limiting in the beginning. But it helps because it forces you to think more about all those various aspects that you have to take into account, and it forces you to think about the things that you may not know yet and where you have to find a way to discover that early.
Okay. Clear. Thank you very much for this clear explanation.
Yeah, well, thank you for your experiences, and I'm happy that you recognize our theory and connect it to the practice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you.